guys, welcome back. This episode will be about the continuing on the review of the 2024 draft, and I'm going to go with Taj Hotton. He was technically our third pick, but we won't have Josh Smiley, as I've said before, just because Smiley didn't play any games, so there's not much data to go off on his game. So, Taj Hotton, as we know, came in with an ACL injury. All reports, he was a superstar in the making. Had high praise from Matthew Lloyd and Scott Pennebury. Before he did his ACL in the 2024 Coates League, he was averaging something like a couple of games where he got 29 and multiple goals. So he was looking like a top 10, top 5. Some even say would have gone pick 1 if he didn't get injured. So which is really good. Richmond probably got him technically cheap for the talent that he's going to be. And as we all saw, he was definitely worth the wait and definitely worth the pick that we took him at pick 12. Considering some people thought he was going to slide more back towards the Giants sort of picks and he's probably going to go to Interstate. But I like the club. They took a chance on him considering he had an ACL injury. We had previously had enough players with ACL. But Ryan Geeshan had saw enough of him in the start of the year and said that I think he had done enough to get drafted. So he played, I think it was seven games overall for this year, and I'm pretty sure his first game was against Essendon, and he ended up kicking a goal. So I've got his career stats written down on here. We can have a discussion about that, and his top performing games are there, and we can go off that. So his career average for disposals is 12.7, which is above average, which is quite good, considering he plays as a bit of a small forward, or mid-forward mid/forward. And then it says kicks is 4.4, which is below average, but his kicks are low because technically his handballs are high. So he's at 8.3 handballs, which is classified as an elite category for him. So he's an elite handballer, which we all can probably say we've seen his games. He has that really good Shane Edwards deft touch with the handball, gets the handballs and seems to find a really good way to release the ball quickly and cleanly. As we've seen in a few games we've watched players play, they just tend to over handball it or handball it in front of the player when they don't get to them where they're going. So marks 3.1, which is average. His tackles are 2.3 average. Goals 0.4, which is below average. Which I'm not concerned about the below average on the goals, considering he hasn't played that much. 7 games isn't really enough to get that career goals average up high enough. So look, that's the worst case. But if we go into his career best performances on every category, 16 disposals, which is his best against North Melbourne in round 23. Most kicks was 8 in a game against Geelong in round 24. Handballs, he had 13 against West Coast in round 19 when we ended up winning that big win. Marks is 7, which is quite actually good for him, which is against Geelong yet again round 24. Most tackles, 4 tackles are in round 23 against North Melbourne. So you can see that the last few games he really started to show what he was going to be once he had got a couple of games under his belt. And goals was 2 against Collingwood, and that's overall most of his stats. I think it was a very good year for him, considering that 7 games, it's not much. But look, he's 19, he's 183 centimeters. He doesn't weigh that much. I don't know his weight. They don't do the weights anymore, but I give him a couple more years under his belt. Maybe even next year where we start to see maybe him go into the forward a bit more and we give him a chance to get a more hands on the ball, because if anyone remembers when we were going to the end of the year, they started to try other players in the centre bounce. Taranto and Hopper were something at one stage for the last 6 games. They were along the lines of 60%, and they didn't have anywhere near as clearances compared to Taj, who had been there 9 times and had 4 clearances. So his percentage of when he's in the centre and gets the ball and gets it out is quite high, which is a positive, something I think we need to look forward to as well next year. And I look forward to maybe getting 20 games out of him next year and, start to get into that going into the following years, pushing towards his 50th game. So could be the lightning ball, and it could end up being the best pick out of the draft at the end of the day. So, all right, guys, it's just a quick little brief on what I think of Taj Hotton for his season, some stats, and what I would like to see him do next year. Leave the comments below on what you guys think. Stay safe, like and subscribe. Leave a comment as well. Stay safe and go Tigers.